Hello everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Holland Land Office Museum's Artifact video series. My name is Ryan Duffy and I'm the director of the museum. And this week we're going to focus on one of the military heroes of Genesee County's history, but one that often gets overlooked because his time in the armed services did not deal with a larger conflict, but one of the smaller conflicts of the early 20th century in which the United States was involved in. This week we're going to talk about Gabriel DeFabbio, who served in the United States Navy and was actually killed in the occupation of Veracruz in Mexico following the Huerta coup d'etat that happened in Mexico that the United States felt the need to counteract. Now, the young DeFabbio was actually born in Italy, but moved to Batavia with his family and actually served two different stints in the Navy, with his second being his last. He re-enlisted just before the conflict erupted in 1914 and served on the battleship the U.S.S. New Jersey as a gunner's mate and was part of the initial landings at Veracruz and was one of the first servicemen killed during the operation. Now, his death led to an outpouring of support and mourning for the family, and a massive parade was held in Batavia following his return home, but he's actually buried in Arlington National Cemetery. So we're going to go through some history of the military operation that he was involved in, his life, and the aftermath of his body returning home. So first we'll talk about the operation that Gabriel DeFabbio was a part of. President Wilson sent naval and marine forces to capture the port of Veracruz in order to prevent arms from flowing into Mexico to support General Huerta, who had taken over the Mexican government and was not being very partial to American interests. DeFabbio was part of the crew of the U.S.S. New Jersey, which was one of the first ships to arrive at the port, and their group was the first to go ashore, and unfortunately they came under fire nearly immediately, and 8 of the sailors on board were killed, DeFabbio being one of them. Several other soldiers and sailors were killed during the conflict, but eventually all major objectives were taken, and Huerta was eventually forced to cow down to American interests. Now, talking about Gabriel DeFabbio himself, he was born in Italy on November 7th, 1891, and would later come to the United States with his mother, brother, and sister, as his father had come to America 10 years before. They originally settled in Holly before coming to Batavia. Gabriel attended Batavia High School, and in November 1908, he enlisted for the first time in the Navy. However, when his first term expired, he came back to Batavia, but civilian life did not suit him well, and he soon re-enlisted back in the Navy. On April 14th, 1914, he sent a letter to his parents saying he was headed for Mexico, and he did not know if there would be a battle, but he was ready for anything. And then this was when Wilson ordered the troops to take over Veracruz. As I mentioned, the New Jersey came under fire when it was beginning to dock and unload soldiers and sailors, and DeFabbio was killed in that action. His parents back in Batavia received the following message addressed to his father Thomas from Secretary of Navy Josephus Daniel. "Let me express deep sympathy in your sad bereavement due to the loss of your son, Gabriel A. DeFabbio, at Veracruz, Mexico, April 22nd, 1914. His patriotic courage in itself placed his name on the roll of those who lay down their lives for their country." His parents were overcome with grief, as well as the entire community, but his father made a specific request that his body be brought back to Batavia for a public funeral before it was buried in Arlington National Cemetery, and this was honored. Now, the funeral was planned out by the local post of the Grand Army of the Republic, as well as other veterans organizations. Businesses were asked to close their stores during the funeral, and flags were replaced at half-mast, and all veterans were invited to attend the funeral, with 6 of them veterans of the Spanish-American War being the pallbearers for the casket. Now, 3,000 Batavians and military personnel walked down Main Street to St. Joseph's Church for the funeral. Only 1,000 could enter the church, so 2,000 had to stand outside, and even President Wilson sent a memorial wreath with a card attached in honor of Gabriel DeFabbio. And following the funeral, the marquees of a lot of the theaters actually show pictures from the funeral as well as the grave site for DeFabbio. Now, he is still honored today. There's actually a marker on the lawn outside of the museum here in his memory. And so his memory can still live on today. And we're very thankful for his service and his dedication to Batavia and the United States Navy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Artifact video series and learned a little bit more about the life and sacrifice of Gabriel DeFabbio during the occupation of Veracruz in 1914. In case you've missed any of our previous videos, be sure to go and check them out on our YouTube channel, Holland Land Office Museum. We're approaching 100 videos in the series now, so there's plenty of material to check out. And if you really like anything, be sure to give the video a like and possibly subscribe to the channel, as it helps the channel out a little bit and gets you notified quicker when we do release new videos. But as always, the best way to come and learn more about what we have at the museum is to come and see us in person, and we'll be happy to share even more information with you, things that maybe we don't even share in the video. So we hope that you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next week.